What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with Me, and welcome to a video talking about my favorite obscure video games. So a few of my friends actually talked about this. I know it was Clocked It and my good friend RetroDeath. Both of them, I'll put their links in the description of their videos of their obscure games. And I had the idea, you know what, I'll do that too. I'll do it one of these days. And one of these days was now. I think their videos were about a year ago, but you know, I get to it when I get to it. And I wanted to talk about my favorite obscure games that ever released, and I had to do a little bit of research just because, you know, obscure to me has to be low sales for sure. You know, there was one game that I was looking at called ATV Off-Road Fury. You may not have heard of it. I'm sure plenty of people haven't heard of it, but you know, it's technically maybe obscure, but it's not obscure because I saw it sold like 2 million copies. 2 million copies is a success. You know, it's a PS2 game. It definitely made a lot of money, but you know, maybe in the grand scheme of 2021, people don't really talk about it, but technically it's not really obscure, you know? I know stuff like Retro had Simpsons Hit and Run, which really isn't obscure at all, but I guess for him, you know, it's technically like what people don't maybe talk about as much. And yeah, I guess if that's the case, you can include so many games, but I wanted to really narrow it down to the ones that in my collection, ones that I know I played when I was younger, that are maybe just the lowest sellings, one that truly will be in the obscurity pile, you know, at least obscure as I could get. You know, most games that you play, there's hundreds of thousands of people that have played it, and that's a lot of people. But at some point in the grand scheme of every game in the world, 100,000 people maybe isn't nearly as big as you would think. So let's just get straight into it. The first game that I wanted to talk about is this game, which is N Plus for the Nintendo DS. So N Plus was a game that I played on the Xbox 360, and I really enjoyed this game. And then it also came out on the DS, and then they had N Plus Plus for a sequel that came out only on PS4, and I guess it flopped really hard. N Plus and N Plus Plus are both really good games, and I guess they had the servers on for N Plus for only a few, it seems like, I don't know, a few months or something. Like, it didn't do well, I guess, and it's a damn shame. I think it literally sold less than 100,000 copies, which is unfortunate on the DS. Really damn good, tough platformer that has you control this like ninja-like guy, and you have to collect like all these like gold little pellets while avoiding these obstacles. It's kind of like Super Meat Boy-esque, and you could also create levels. So I remember creating my own levels on the DS and doing stuff like that. And then I think it was on the, you know, on the 360 I played probably most. I mostly played on the 360, but also a good amount on the DS. And the 360 version also had its own set of levels and had level packs that they would release. And I don't know if it was necessarily obscure, but I don't hear it being talked a lot. And at least the DS version sold like 70,000 copies, some really low number, you know, for a system that's sold 150 million. It's like, come on, man. Sucks because it was a really good game. It, I guess, did well enough to get a sequel, but that sequel was unfortunately exclusive for a console that people aren't really going to check out like that, and it flopped pretty damn hard apparently. I bought the game, but hey, it is what it is. N plus, hopefully we see it N plus 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 one day. It's a good game, man. I really enjoyed it. Another obscure game of mine, I don't know if I would call it my favorite by any chance, but it is an obscure game, one that was brought to my attention only a few months ago when I was on the Juices Loose podcast, a podcast that I'm on every Monday on Terminator Juice's channel. You should, of course, always check that out. I think if you know me, you probably know that by now, but I just had to say it. So basically, there's this game called Wild Earth African Safari for the Wii, and yeah, I don't know if I would call this my favorite, not by any chance, but you know, I was kind of reaching for obscure games, and I know I bought this recently for only about, I don't know, was it $10 brand new, something like that, maybe cheaper, and it's essentially just a photo snapping, like imagine Safari Snap instead of Pokemon Snap, but instead you actually get to walk around and stuff. It's pretty damn cool, and the animations look really damn good. You know, it's on the Wii, so what they were able to take out and accomplish on the Wii is pretty impressive in terms of animations. And I you know, played it for like 30 minutes, I think, when I rented it on GameFly. But it's an obscure game that I now own that I know I played when I was younger for the slightest a bit. But it's I don't know if I'd call it my favorite by any chance, but it is it's an obscure game that I played a little bit of. I gotta include some games, right? Then the next one is actually a WiiWare game, one that I can't hold up anywhere, but it was called TV Show King 1 and 2. I love trivia games, I really do, and there's something I think is just so fun about just game show games, being on a game show, you know. And so I always wanted to be on one, and so the fact that there was one on the Wii where, you know, it was kind of, you know, just a game show type game, Jeopardy, I guess you could say, kind of. You know, you pick a category, you get it right or wrong, you know. And you had the host and everybody, and it was really damn cool. You had your me on, or was it Mii's? I don't know if it, actually, I don't think they used the Mii's. But regardless, TV Show King was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's sold well, you know, there's no sales numbers for like WiiWare games, but it was pretty obscure to me. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's a lot of damn fun. At least it was when I was younger. I don't own it anymore. It's one that I have to download on WiiWare, or at least on some emulator or something, and put it on my Wii. Because to be fair, since they shut the WiiWare down, the Wii channel down, the Wii Shop channel down, all the WiiWare games are gone. So I can't really play Wii TV Show King anymore. I forgot the name of it. Wii Show King? But TV Show King, I mean. And I know it was never ported to anywhere, but it's a really damn fun game, man. Fun little story about TV Show King. I actually used to play baseball because my dad forced me to, because, you know, you gotta hate your kids sometimes, right, I guess. And regardless, I played baseball for a whole damn summer, hated the shit, whatever, you know. But we won the championship somehow. I don't know. You know, I wasn't good, but I ran fast, so that's all that mattered in their eyes. So we won the championship, and all I could think of was, I asked my mom, I was like, since I won the championship, can we get a Wii game? You know? And then we ended up getting a TV Show King. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted so bad. It was like $10, you know? But you had to ask your parents, please, please, let me get it. Literally, actually, probably less than $10. You know, it's a WiiWare game. But regardless, got TV Show King. I was really hyped. And I had a lot of fun with TV Show King, man. Trivia shows, games, they're fun. Next one is one that I don't currently own anymore, but I do want to get it one day again just to see how it is anymore. I used to play this game called Smurf Racer for the PS1, and it was a Smurf racing game. And I remember having a lot of fun with it. I remember the courses being genuinely interesting, like actually pretty good. I don't know if they're really that good anymore. You know, I'd have to play it again. You know, this is from a kid's mind. When you're a kid, you like everything. You know, you enjoy everything. And so you don't quite see the nuances of what makes a course good. You know what I'm saying? But I remember it controlling pretty well. And I remember the courses being quite fun. And while it is a Mario Kart clone, I remember having a lot of fun with it. And I remember putting that in a decent amount of times. They had the little Luigi's Mansion type of track. You know, I guess it's the guy. I don't watch Smurfs like that, so I don't remember the guy's name. Gargamile, right? Something like that? I don't know. Regardless, I remember having fun with it. I can't find any sales numbers for it at all. I even went on VG charts, and they don't even pop that game up for some reason, which is really strange. But Smurf Racer, I had a fun time with it. I really did. And again, don't know if it's rare or not, or obscure, but I had fun with it. Another game that I really had fun with that apparently is obscure. I had no clue it would be obscure. This feels like a game that would have sold millions of copies when it released, but it didn't. And in fact, I think it sold only like about 200,000 copies, which is Rumble Racing for the PS2. I'm shocked this game actually sold pretty poorly. Like I said, ATV Off-Road Fury for the PS2 apparently sold like 2 million. That one sold like 200,000. Like, what? Rumble Racing is a lot of fun, and genuinely is a lot of fun. I remember playing it not too crazy long ago. I had it, you know, when I was a kid. That's where I played most of it. And me and my sister, we would never unlock any of the cars or anything. We were never good enough to do that. And but I played it recently, and not for crazy long. But when I played, I was like, yeah, no, this is cool. Like the tracks are really well done. The amount of cars that you could play, there's a lot of them. And it's just genuine, insane racing, arcade style that's really damn fun, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's cheap on eBay. I highly recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun. One that you would probably really enjoy. I always wanted to unlock the truck so I could drive an RV. I always wanted to drive a damn RV and shit. Why? Because apparently that's weird. And oh, instead of racing in a goddamn sports car, let's race in an RV. And I always love that, and it's very arcadey, and there's always this announcer guy that's a lot of fun. It's a really good game. Rumble Racing, highly recommend checking that one out. These next two games are actually Xbox Live indie games, so I can't quite put them up, but basically there are these games that would be on the indie games section of Xbox games. And so it's funny because if you remember on the Xbox 360, this is before, just indie games were a thing and stuff. There were the Xbox Live Arcade, which were technically indie games, but then there was the indie games section that was like indie, like you could just make anything you wanted to and put it up, and that would be on the indie game section and not the Xbox Live Arcade. So if something like Super Meat Boy would not be put on the indie game section, it would be put on the Xbox Live Arcade section, which is so funny to me. Now it's just, the indie game section is just, independent developers. But for Microsoft, they thought it'd be Xbox Live Arcade. I don't know why there'd be a difference. And then indie games would be genuinely people that could make anything. I'm talking about anything. You put a PNG file up and you put the start button and the game ends. That type of stuff, like the letter on Wii U type stuff. And you would actually put it up and that would be put to the indie game section. And so I spent so many days on that section. You could download a demo for every single one of those. And even on this channel, I had a lot of videos, or maybe not a lot, but a decent amount of videos about those type of games. And one of them on my older channel called Raving Rabbit 203, if you want to look up me being like 10 years old. 10 years old, maybe 11. Regardless, maybe even younger. No, 10 years old, 11. Regardless, I made a indie game Sunday, and I would always download every single one of those indie games that came out on the Sundays, and I would make a video about each and every one of them because I loved that section. It's free, again, mind you, I couldn't buy games like that, so demos were the greatest things ever. And the fact that the indie game section had a demo for every single indie game, that's what I did all the time. But there were some that I would buy, and they were always cheap. They were always about $1 to $2. I think there maybe set a limit. You probably could only do it for a few dollars. I don't think they had $10 ones. I might be wrong. There probably was, but I just don't remember. But most of them were like a few dollars. And so I would get them. I would get them when I had some little money from Christmas. You buy a decent amount of them. I had a decent amount of them, man. A really good, decent amount of them. In fact, I'll probably have to make a video all about that. I'm going to have to write that down. The indie game Xbox 360 arcade section. Just show the games that I bought personally. But there was a lot of them where just low quality assets that, some developers would make some good stuff, and then a lot of them just feels like kind of cheap little cash grab stuff. One of them that was pretty cool, though, was Murder Miners. Murder Miners was a lot of fun. It was essentially Minecraft meets Halo, and literally, and meets Left 4 Dead, I guess you could say, where, one side, it was a multiplayer game where one side would be playing as essentially a Spartan, a Halo type guy that it looks like you're playing Halo, and then the other side is a zombie, and you're just doing that. You're shooting the zombies you're taking out the murder miners. But you could also build maps, so people would make these massive, crazy, cool maps, and so you would just play those, and it was awesome. You'd have these public servers that you could join anytime, and there would always be people on. So maybe it's not as obscure, but I remember checking on Steam, and in terms of Steam, there's only 3,000 reviews for the entire lifetime of that game so far. But I'm sure on Xbox 360 it sold a lot better, because it was like the #1 at the time or something like that. I don't know what that means, like if it really sold that well or just got rated that well. I don't know. Regardless, I had a lot of fun with Murder Miners, and I played a decent amount of that where literally, no matter what map or whatever, I really had a blast just playing this Halo meets Minecraft thing. Something I never knew I wanted, but I enjoyed a lot of it. Next one is called the Avatar Legends. Again, another Xbox indie game. I had a blast with this game. The Avatar Legends had its own story mode that I think built in, but the big thing was that you were able to create your own games. And it went pretty damn in depth. If I'm being honest with you, you were able to create the whole map. You were able to place NPC avatars, like literally avatars, and you were able to make them say anything. And I literally started making my own game, and I made a little bit of it. It wasn't a lot, but it was a decent, tiny amount for what age I was. And I love, I was obsessed with wanting to make my own game, and I didn't quite do that, but games like the Avatar Legends or like maybe WarioWare DIY stuff like that is really what I was able to do some stuff in, and the Avatar Legends was a lot of fun. You could also just make your own singular maps, so I made my own singular maps. It was just a blast, and I never got tired of that game. You could level up, you get more health and more magic and all that, but then you could download other people's stories, and some people made full-ass games, some impressive looking stuff that would just tank the frame rate. It was really impressive. It's like when if you go on New Horizons, Animal Crossing New Horizons, when people put so much stuff that literally permanently their island has their frame rate of 20 instead of 30, and so you could notice it. And that's how it was for the Avatar Legends, when people put so much stuff that looked really impressive and like, damn, you made this out of the Avatar Legends. And it was a lot of fun. I think it was really great. You had you can make merchants, and they could buy product. It was just crazy. It was crazy. Really good game that again used low quality assets, you could say, but they made a fun game out of it. And the Avatar Legends was one that will always be in my mind. That was like, damn, that's a pretty good, cool game. And finally, another one of my favorite obscure games. I'm calling this obscure. This is the most recent obscure game. I'm calling this obscure because it only sold about 200-something thousand copies. Sony does not acknowledge it. It's not free on that whole, it's not on that PS Plus collection. No one cares about it. No one talks about it. I don't even know it's on PlayStation Now. Regardless, no one talks. Not even Media Molecule. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Tearaway Unfolded for the PlayStation 4. I love this damn game so much. I think it's fantastic, and I replayed it already multiple times, and I just have a damn blast with the game. I love its atmosphere. I love the actual level design. I love the scenarios you go through. I think it's hilarious. The music is fantastic, and it's easily my favorite game within this obscure pile, because it is genuinely a damn blast for me personally. I know some of my friends are actually playing it, and they're not enjoying it too much. Hey man, different strokes for different folks, I get it. But for me, it's one of my favorite games in recent memory. It is an amazing game to me. I made a whole back of the backlog episode on it, and you could see me detailing why I love it and kind of just breaking it down. The final sections, I love the whole pressing the different buttons, in a different way that you've never actually pressed buttons before. It just really kind of messes with your mind in terms of just how you normally press buttons, and I really enjoyed that section. The fourth wall breaking stuff, it's so damn good. I love this game to death. It really, Tearaway Unfolded is one of my favorite. It is my favorite obscure game, and I would call it obscure just for the simple fact that it didn't sell well. Sony doesn't acknowledge it. Media Molecule doesn't really acknowledge it. It's odd, but it's a really damn good game, and I highly suggest playing it. It's literally super cheap on eBay, I'm sure, and give it a whirl. If you like it, you like it. If not, hey, at least you own a copy of my favorite obscure game. But yeah, so that'll be it for today. Damn, time flies. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. I think that was a good video idea. Again, shout out to RetroDeath. I think he was the first one that did it that I know of. I mean, I'm sure there's always someone doing like favorite obscure games. I know I saw recently the channel Good Vibes Gaming, they did their favorite obscure discussion. That's always a discussion, but it was brought to my attention by my good friends RetroDeath and Clockit, and so I really appreciate that. And go check out their versions. I'll put the link in the description. And man, I enjoyed it, man. Favorite obscure game? There's a lot of obscure games. Those are the ones I played. I'm sure there's other ones that I'm just not remembering. They're so obscure that I don't remember. Again, the Xbox Live Arcade indie games, I could probably name every single one of those, but we'll be here all day. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. What's your favorite obscure game? Again, it's got to be obscure. Like, do a little research. If it's sold more than 500,000 copies, more than 1 million, maybe not too obscure, but I think if it sells less than 1 million, I think you could consider it obscure enough. Especially if it came out 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Then yeah, I'm sure those people that even played it probably don't even remember they played it. So yeah, alright, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Hope all is well. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
At age 8, picked up a page, started to write rhymes all day, introverted to shine spraying stage, but love the feeling of writing and rhyming, something inside me, felt accomplished every time I could connect to ends, shit when I'm on the mic, it feels like everything is alright, all of the depression, pressure, bullshit, music, cools that use the tools that just been through it, invent new shit, maybe foolish, not a school kid.